Hello and welcome to the Collecting Heroes podcast. I'm your host JD, the collector of collectors, and this is the show where I interview pop culture collectors from around the world, although I've actually gone a little bit local because I have a fellow Australian, and we're actually going to be traveling to the land of Isla Nublar, if I said that correctly. My guest helped me with the pronunciation before. So Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And for people who aren't familiar with Isla Nublar, it's the island from Jurassic Park. And you are a Jurassic Park collector.
Oh, I am a Jurassic Park collector, yes. Yep.
And when we say Jurassic Park collector, because we were actually talking before I started recording, and you've got this fantastic collection in the background. In specific, you tend to, you're a bit more of an inbox collector by the looks of it, but also you go for the classic original JP, the Jurassic Park. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I tend to stick to the vintage stuff, mint and sealed box. I find it just displays better, and it helps me with my OCD.
Yeah. On your bio, it actually says the largest documented Australian collection for all things sealed Kenner Jurassic Park. A bit of a mouthful, but
Yep.
Explain what that means, like in terms of like documented Australian collection.
So obviously, there are lots of people that are very secretive about their collection. So there's no way I can be 100% whether I have the largest sealed Kenner Jurassic Park collection in the country.
Yeah.
It's definitely the largest Instagram collection, hence why I use the word documented.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I mean, you should have just gone for it, right? And if anyone wants to, have a Jurassic Park off or whatever, I don't know what you want to call, like a collection, like
nobody's
like
stepped
hoedown
up yet.
or something. Showdown, not hoedown. You're gonna dance around your collection. Sorry. But yeah, like if anyone wants to come up against it, then yeah, great. But you do have a fantastic collection though. So how long have you been collecting it for?
Surprisingly, not that long. The sort of sealed stuff has only been, this is just the culmination of about 2 years.
Okay.
I've always loved Jurassic Park, but I never sort of put two and two together to actually start a collection. But yeah, just one night I jumped on eBay and thought I'd actually search Kenner Jurassic Park toys. I ended up with 2 sealed Lost World dinosaurs that night.
Nice.
Had no idea what I was looking for, condition, even if it was a good price, but that night sort of started it for me. Yeah, it sort of lit the flame.
So 2 years. So this would be essentially kind of a pandemic project almost, right? You're like most of us, I think
I
most
would say so.
Yeah. You're shut in. There's a lockdown. You're looking on your phone. You're seeing all these cool things online, and you're like, "Oh, well, I'm not going anywhere. I might as well spend this money on something online."
No, funnily enough, my job doesn't really shut down, so I was never stuck at home or anything like that. I've been working like normal, like I always have.
Well, that's good. That's good. A lot of us didn't have that luxury, but still, during that period, that's when you started collecting, and it just took off from there. So once you've got those two things, you're like, well, I might as well get the next thing that goes with those items.
Yeah. So going into it, once I realized that I actually wanted to build a collection, I decided to be quite methodical with it. I researched the different series within the Jurassic Park Kenner line, made a checklist, and just worked my way through it.
Wow. Are you in your personal life? I'm not going to ask what you do for a job or anything, but are you a very methodical person? Is this something that you do when it comes to a lot of things in life? You're making a list, checking it, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, definitely helps.
It's the first person I've heard that's actually documented before really getting the collection, but documented what you wanted in the collection and really been checking that off. You're the first collector that I've heard actually do that, which is really cool.
Yeah. So behind me, I have the entire Series 1 and Series 2 Jurassic Park Kennel Line mint and sealed box.
Wow. And were they tough to collect? And like, was it something that you had to go outside of Australia to get the majority of these, or would you say that a lot of that collection actually comes from local
definitely.
collectors?
I would say 99% has come from overseas. Definitely.
Okay, cool. And look, another thing that I always say to people when I start this podcast is usually one of the things I ask is how you got into it. So for you, obviously, you've got this collection that you've been amassing in the last couple of years. You've been checking it off. But where did the love for Jurassic come from? What really drove you to those first couple of items that you wanted to purchase?
To really go back, it all started pretty cliche, like everybody else. I was 5. Jurassic Park was at the cinemas. I'd never been to the cinemas before. It was the first movie I ever saw.
Awesome.
And I watched it, and it's one of my earliest memories. I'll never forget it, and it's just stuck with me ever since.
Was it something did you ask your parents? Do you remember if you asked your parents to go back and watch it again, or was it like every time a new movie came out, you were like to your parents, "I have to go see this"?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I don't remember seeing it more than once, mainly because I was 5. But I definitely remember all the movies since.
It's so funny, actually, saying that you went to see that in the cinemas when you were 5, because I was thinking that I don't know if that's a movie like a Jurassic movie is something I would take a 5-year-old child to go. And that's no knock on my parents. I mean, it's great. Like, this is a perfect pop culture, film franchise. But a lot of people wouldn't do that. I remember I took my younger sisters, who at the time I think were about 10 and 11 years old, 11, 12 years old, to see the Jurassic Park 3 in the cinemas. And I remember one of them commenting that they were even a bit freaked out watching that in the cinemas as well. Did you remember being scared as a child watching it at the same time?
I remember being completely overwhelmed, mainly with the sound.
Yeah. Well, I did go and see this at the cinemas myself, a little bit older than yourself, but I remember going and seeing that in the cinemas, and exactly the sound, the roar of the dinosaur.
Absolutely.
When that happened in the cinemas was just phenomenal. Like, and just the seeing it, even that scene where it's chasing them when they're first running away from the T-Rex and that were driving away from the T-Rex, like, was just like, oh my God, what am I watching? This is amazing. Like, it was a film masterpiece at the time, like, as far as live box office numbers go.
Yep. Stands up to even till today.
Yeah. And have you watched every one of them in the cinema religiously since, even with the Jurassic World ones?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what's your feeling on the newer Jurassic World franchise?
I'm biased, obviously, being such a big fan. My heart is always with the older ones, even Jurassic Park 3. But if they can keep driving the franchise forward and keep the brand alive, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's fair. And I was wondering about it because I actually wasn't sure if they were going to continue this franchise going forward, and I actually saw. I was watching a video the other day from a show called the John Campea Show, where they review a lot of movie news and TV show news and everything as well. And they were talking about the Jurassic franchise and actually saying, there was a quote from Bryce Dallas Howard saying, it's very sad to say goodbye to something so wonderful, but also I'm very excited for the folks that will carry the Jurassic saga forward. And that quote was in regards to, when they were using that quote, was because the franchise apparently was going to be the last of the Jurassic World movies, but there is obviously the door open for them to still use Jurassic franchise and maybe do a different trilogy or a show or something in the future as well.
Yeah, I think they're going to go to more of the route that Star Wars has taken, with the spin-offs of, the Mandalorian, Obi-Wan.
Okay, TV.
Yeah. I can't see another movie happening, but I can definitely see TV shows. Yeah,
well, they've definitely finished the Jurassic World franchise. They're not going to be doing those anymore, like with that cast anyway. But that would be interesting. Do you have a suggestion, like, as a fan, basically a lifelong fan, really? of Jurassic Park. Would you have a suggestion of what you would like to see if there was a show to come to streaming?
Not really. I was only speaking to a mate the other day. I just said to him, like, what happened to the raptors that screamed and just wanted to kill you? That they sort of moved in the direction with Jurassic World, like they were sort of training them, and that I didn't really like.
Yeah, with Blue.
Yeah.
So you'd like
to bring back the feral raptors.
Okay, so maybe get back to, an adventure of being hunted in the wilderness, like by
yeah.
raptors, something
I think
like
it'll
that.
be really difficult to sort of. I think it'll be difficult to capture that the essence that I would say the first 2-3 movies had. It's hard to explain. Like, a movie has sort of like a feel to it, and I feel like the Jurassic World movies sort of lost that feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's the first sort of 5 minutes of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the second one in sort of like that second part trilogy.
Yeah.
I think that was the closest to actually recapturing that feeling, that essence that Jurassic Park had. So if they can nail that, it'll be great.
Is that when the volcano? Am I right in thinking the volcano blows early in that movie as well? Is that?
Yeah. So Fallen Kingdom's when the volcano blows up. But the opening to the movie is when they're trying to obtain the bones from the Indominus Rex from the Mosasaurus pen.
Yes, now I remember.
And it's raining, and like there's the raiders that sort of like they're trying to get those bones, and there's like the helicopter scene where the T-Rex comes with the rain. Yeah. I think it was really good.
Yeah, well, I think that I definitely thought, actually, because I did actually go and watch these in the cinema as well myself, because I was a fan of the original movies, and I have to agree with you, that did definitely have that feeling of that dread and everything as well.
Even the throwback, the guy with the that had the electronic tablet, he was wearing the bright yellow raincoat, which is a throwback to Dennis Nedry.
Oh, of course. That's who we're thinking of, right, yeah. Dennis? Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Actually, it's funny. I still can't help but picture him as Newman. For Seinfeld fans, obviously, will know. But that's whenever I see that actor, I can't remember his name, but that's all I ever picture.
Wayne Knight.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. I love that he's become a meme now, actually. A couple different Jurassic Park memes, but I love the one that, look, like, he yells out, and he's like, no one cares. And there's like been 1,000 different memes of that now online. I love that.
Yeah.
Things like those can actually go into pop culture. And there's just these little tiny movie moments that you didn't even think of that significant Definitely. At the time. But is there one of the movies in particular that stands out? Is it that original one, or is there one of the original trilogy that stands out more to you?
Absolutely, the very first one, Jurassic Park. Yeah.
How many times did you say you've watched it?
I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you. It would be thousands.
Thousands. Which, going back to your collection, you may not be in the thousands yet, but have you an idea? I mean, you've been checking, you've got this checklist. Do you know roughly what you're at in terms of items?
No. I can't say I've ever counted. I probably could count all the Kenner stuff, but there's books, food, there's lots and lots of stuff. What's
the coolest item for you, like the grail item that you've gotten so far in your collection once you started collecting?
So for me, a grail item is my Jungle Explorer, which is the tour vehicle from the first movie. That's definitely the top of the list. It's not the rarest, but for me, it's the most special for sure.
And when you're trying to find something like that online and you're looking at the condition of it, is there like a certain style, like type of condition that you have to have for something? If it's mint on card, does the card need to be in like mint condition as well, or are you like, are you obsessive about that?
Yes. Yeah. It has to be near perfect. Yeah.
And have you had any experiences when you've purchased something online, it's come in, you're like, this is not what I call mint?
No, no, I'm very, very particular about what I purchase. The only bad experience I've had is um, I use a shipping forwarding company.
Oh yeah.
Through USA eBay, I had a forwarding company that they send the package and then they forward it to me. So they've received the package and to save money for themselves, they've taken it out of the box it came in, jammed it in a smaller one, and
Oh.
then sent it to me. And I got it, and it was like just this crinkled mess. So I haven't used a forwarding company since.
I actually use a forwarding company too. I don't know if it's the same forwarding company you're talking about. I know there's quite a number of them. I use a company called myus.com. Is that
Yeah, right.
is that the same one you're talking about?
No, no, no. The
Okay.
one it was pretty obscure. I didn't really have much experience doing international shipping. Yeah, it was pretty early on, so
Okay.
I've learned a lot of things.
I use a company called like I said, myus.com, and I'm not. This isn't sponsored by any means. This episode or anything. I've never mentioned them before. But I use them. I actually started using them to forward items last year because early last year I had a work colleague of mine in the US because I work for a global company, and she was happy enough to forward them to me because I thought maybe I can get this person in the US if I ship to her. She can bundle them together and send them over, and I'll save money on shipping, and I can get some of these exclusive US items that I want.
Yeah,
So I sent them to her. She lived right almost across the road from UPS, and she went in there and got a quote for I think it was like five or six small items that she'd sort of put into a medium sized box, and the quote came back as $700 US.
ouch.
And I was like, no, no. And for anyone listening outside of Australia, that actually translates to over $1,000 Australian. So
Yeah,
I was not like I think in all the items that I purchased was probably around $200 worth. So I was like,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
paying five times as much to get these items here. So
yeah. Yes. So I'm lucky. I'm lucky now. I've met a good friend through collecting who now sends. I send items to, so I buy them off eBay, and they get sent straight to him, and he'll actually open the box, inspect that it's been packed properly, and
yeah,
if it's been packed properly, um, he'll forward it on to me. But if it's not, he'll get a new box or pack it better than what it is, and then send it off to me. So
oh,
I'm
perfect.
shout out to Kenna Hunter.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter. The the other thing with my US is so I ended up finding them. I thought I'll test these guys because they had a special on. If you signed up, you got a discount on your first shipping. So by the time I paid for my friend to send it to Florida, which is the address of this shipping company, and from Utah to Florida, and then to ship it from there through DHL to me was less than half the price of what it would have been through USPS, and it
Yeah.
arrived here from that shipping company in like 5 days. It was amazing. I couldn't believe how quick it got it. So
Wow.
I've used them religiously since, and I have had nothing but sort of good experiences with them. And one of the
Yeah.
things
Awesome.
they do, if you ever for anyone trying to ship into their country, they do offer a US box and a UK box as part of their premium service, as well as the opportunity that you can actually, rather than as you mentioned, unpack stuff and try and shove it into another box, that you can actually opt to have everything grouped together. This is what I do. I just do like a monthly shipping across where I'll have multiple items shipped there. They group them together and they actually pack them all into one large box, but keeping them within the box they were received in. So they're kind of
Oh wow.
double boxed. So I get my items pretty much perfect every time.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So when you're looking at stuff on eBay, have you got certain searches set up as well? Like, how did you go about like hunting these things down? I know you've mentioned you've also got another collector that maybe looked out for stuff in the US, but
Yes.
was there a method to the madness of checking off the list?
Yeah. Lots of saved searches. Religious looking, even if I don't get a notification.
Yeah,
Um, I've gotten a few items through So watching toy hunts on YouTube, and they may go to a certain toy shop, and if I see something in the background, I find out what toy shop it is, and then I hunt down the item by doing that.
Oh wow!
So I've gotten a couple of things by doing that, by having a sharp eye. I've also helped a few other collectors out by getting stuff that they're looking for by doing that. Yeah.
Do you have any funny
Also,
stories in regards to one of those items?
Well, I spoke to you earlier about MCE.
Yes.
Yeah, so
George,
MCE
that was a Star Wars collector I had.
Yeah, MCE is sort of like linked with Bits and Buttons out of Fort Lauderdale in Florida.
Yeah.
And I've actually purchased a couple of items through his videos off Bits and Buttons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So,
I'll have to tell George that. He'll be really happy to hear that.
Yeah, yeah. Just in the background, like they may have just glanced past it, and I'm there on the YouTube, like with the little scanner, trying to get the correct second I can get a good look at it.
So you're like pause, start, pause, play.
Yeah.
Until you get to that frame.
Yeah. Also purchasing things out of other people's collections that aren't necessarily for sale.
Oh. Yeah, and how do you go about negotiating that?
Basically, I just ask the question.
Yeah.
And money talks. That's generally how I get it. If they don't want to sell it, they don't want to sell it. That's fine. But yeah. I'm always happy to ask.
I've always been a big believer, and my girlfriend will knows that this is something I say all the time, that if you don't ask, you don't get. Right? There's no harm in asking.
Yeah, like the golden sentence of collecting is, what else you got?
And that's gotten you a few different items?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My rarest Kenner item I've gotten through simply asking, what else you got?
Yeah. And
so it pays off.
Do you have other collectors in Australia that you've gone and looked at their collections in person as well and hunting through them, or is it all pretty much online?
Just online, yeah. Yeah, I've bought off other collectors, Jurassic collectors in Australia. One mainly who I've become quite good friends with, and the other one I hang out with. We go to cons and stuff. So
great.
He doesn't necessarily sell, and neither do I. So it works.
So you're not one of those collectors who's collecting to then flip or anything like that. It's like you're only buying the items that go into your collection, and they're staying in your collection.
Yeah, absolutely. Lately, I've been heavy into Jurassic comics, and by buying sort of lots of comics, I've acquired doubles.
I know they had comics.
Yeah, yeah. They had movie adaptation comics for the first movie and the second movie, as well as sort of spin-off comic series. So yeah, they're quite good.
And I imagine those original comics have a lot of Kenner advertising within them as well?
None.
Really?
None.
Oh, I'm amazed that
Yeah.
they didn't do cross-promotion in there.
No. Lots of like Sega Mega Drive promotions, or Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Lots of that, but yeah, not really Kenner. No.
Well, speaking of Sega Genesis, you're outside of your action figures and things that you're collecting, do you have the old retro games and other items as well?
I'm slowly but surely going to get them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a complete in-box Mega Drive game, Jurassic Park.
Nice.
And recently I got a complete in-box Jurassic Park Game Boy game. So
wow.
They displays pretty well, yeah.
And do they go for a pretty penny as well, those games?
Not really. If you want them sealed, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't dabbled in sealed games yet. I think it's only a matter of time. So at the moment,
you're an inbox collector of everything else.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Do you have a partner, and how do they feel about your collection?
Yeah, I'm in a relationship. She's okay with it. She sort of rolls her eyes a bit, but she's definitely accustomed to me collecting now and having my own room with all my collectibles in it. The only battle I have is, can I put up another shelf? So
Because exactly like you said, you've got your own room, and we were talking about this before I started recording. You've
Yeah,
got the specific setup, which is it's a beautiful setup as well and nicely lit. But you said this is the Jurassic room, so everything is contained in that room, right?
yep.
Is there rules on what can and can't be in other parts of the house, like as well?
Nothing outside of this room.
Nothing outside of the
No.
room.
I tried a I tried to sneak in the pillowcase in the bedroom, which didn't fly.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, I mean, it's a pillowcase. Well, how bad can it be?
I know, right? Yeah. No, it doesn't match everything else.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, well, what you'll have to do is you'll need to get matching pillowcases and the quilt cover as well,
Well,
right? So
that's
you'll need
right.
to get
Yeah.
the whole bed, whole linen set, and then just one day when she's at work or something, you change it. She comes home, the bed's nicely crisply made, and it's just it's all matching. So there you
Yeah. Yeah. It'll go down. Yeah, real well. Real
go.
well.
Just say
Yeah,
JD said I
for
could do
sure.
this, and then
Yeah.
don't give her my number or anything.
Yeah.
I love it. I think this is great. Like you've got quite the collection. Only a couple of years collecting, and it's very very impressive collection at the moment. And Kenner, it's funny. Like for me, when I think of Kenner, I know that they've brought out some Batman toys. Me being a Batman collector, I've seen a lot of those toys over the years from Kenner. But when I think of Kenner, I always think of Star Wars. I always go harken back to the Star Wars action figures as well.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, well, that's how real Kenner got off the ground, really, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. So that's funny actually that you could say that because that is something I was going to discuss with you. Was the origins of Kenner as part of a quiz question. You said you've listened to a couple of episodes of the podcast. Have you
Yeah.
encountered any of the episodes with the quiz?
I think just one. I
Okay,
was afraid of this. You're going to put me on the spot.
I am going to put you on the spot. So you're actually the fourth collector of season 2, and I haven't done a quiz for the first 3 episodes. And I was like, well, I've gone this many episodes. I need to put a quiz in there somewhere. So Dave, are you up for the quiz?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give it a go. Yeah.
All right, all right. I think because I think I've made them too easy in some cases for people. So this one might be a little bit more difficult. So
Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
well, yes. I'll leave it till after the quiz to see if you still appreciate it. But I'll definitely give you some wiggle room as well here. Let's get into it. First question of the quiz: where did Kenner get its name from?
I have no idea.
I told you it was going to be a tough one. I told you it was going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would not have known this if you put me on the spot. I would definitely not have known this as well. And this was just in me doing research before the episode. So it actually got its name from the street that the office was located in Cincinnati, Ohio. And when you
I knew that. I
yeah,
knew Ohio. Yep.
there you go, there you go. You knew that. See, you just needed reminding, right?
Yeah.
Do you know when they got their start? Even if you can get the decade right, I'll give you the point.
The 70s.
Earlier.
Oh, late 60s.
1946 it was.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah, I know. I was
Yep.
shocked by this because I, like you, thought that a lot of I thought they had only been around for a short time before they picked up the Star Wars licensing. Which is in itself a great little story as well that I urge people to go out and search to find out how Kenner got to pick up the license for that.
Yeah.
I think they might have actually done a little bit of that on the show The Toys That Make It, The Toys That Made Us. I think that one on Netflix.
Yeah.
I spoke about it. But 1946. I had no idea as well. And this is the same thing like with Nintendo. They were around for a long time. They were They started as playing cards and things.
It wasn't early like before 1910 or something like that. Nintendo was founded.
I can't remember the year off the top of my head either.
Yeah, it was really early.
We discuss it during my Nintendo collecting episode. But I just know it was a long time. I think it may have even been in the 1800s. Actually.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, and they were a playing card company. So All right. Well, number one, that's okay. As I said, I came out tough out of the gates.
Yeah, yeah.
The next ones are going to actually be more Jurassic Park focused as well. So
Okay.
you may pick up a couple points here. All right. So this one is an over or under. So it's either or. You've got pretty much a 50-50 chance of getting this one right.
Yeah.
The total worldwide. No, get my words out here. The total worldwide box office, is it over or under? And I'm talking about for the whole franchise, all 6 movies. $5 billion.
It's over.
Yes, correct. It's actually close to $6 billion, which I was surprised. I actually thought it might have even been higher. I wasn't sure, but it turns out so. Jurassic World got the highest, 1.6 billion.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Park 3, which I took my sisters to and terrified them at the cinemas, was as low as 365 million. So essentially, I guess, could have been regarded as a bit of a flop in the cinemas.
Well, yeah. Well, they had they were rewriting the script basically on the go. I know they threw out the script 5 weeks before pre-production. So
And also,
it was
that's
sort of
the only
destined to
one in
fall
that
apart.
original trilogy that didn't have Steven Spielberg as the film director on that one.
Yeah, it was also the first movie where they weren't really guided by Michael Crichton's novels.
Well, that anyway. So speaking of directors, and you may already have a point for a later question, but directors. So the director for the first 2 movies, as we mentioned, was the great Steven Spielberg. Who was the director for Jurassic World?
Colin Trevorrow.
Yes, correct. Ding, ding, ding. All right, so you've clawed your way back. You're 2 out of 3 at the start, so you're doing well. This is number 4, question 4. Dr. Alan Grant was played by Sam Neill. So Sam Neill was born in Ireland, but grew up in what other country?
New Zealand.
Correct. Yes. So I've always regarded him as a New Zealander because he essentially grew up.
Don't
there.
we always do that though?
We do. And Australia, as for anyone who's not Australian, little insider knowledge here. Australians love to claim New Zealanders as their own, especially when they get famous. So
Yep.
yeah. But it's just across the pond in New Zealand. He grew up there from the age of 7, but was born in Ireland, which is something I learnt as well when I was researching this. So you're 3 of 4. So can you go a clean sweep at the end? And I think you can, because we've already pretty much answered this. Jurassic Park was based on a book written by what author?
Michael Crichton.
Yes, and ding, ding, ding. There you go. 4 out of 5. I started tough out of the gates.
Yeah, definitely.
I did. It was a bit of a curveball, but you came back strong. So 4 out of 5. Well done, Dave. Oh, should I say Davo? We're getting like Australians. This is, 2 Aussies on a podcast.
That's it.
So yeah, no, that's great. 4 out of 5. Congratulations. You win. I'm not sure what. I might have to come up with prizes for these. I think I'm not sure. What would you?
I think you should.
What would you like if you could have a prize? What would the prize be?
That's cardboard standee of Batman behind you.
Oh no, I don't think I could do that. I think I can do an oak milk. Maybe I can give you a 7-Eleven voucher and you can go buy like an oat milk and a Slurpee or something.
Nice.
But yeah, no, the standee. I've told the story of the standee before. Definitely took me a little bit of hunting to get that and negotiating. So I wouldn't be able to give that up.
Yeah, I'm big on the cardboard standees. They're awesome. They're so good.
Do you collect a lot of the promotional stuff as well? Is that something you've been
I'm huge on the promotional stuff, yeah. I don't have any of the large standees. One, they're really expensive for pieces of cardboard. Mm-hmm. And 2, I don't know if I'd be able to display it without damaging it.
Yeah.
But I'll get them, absolutely. But I love the promotional stuff. It's, yeah, definitely.
Perfect. I've saved in, speaking of eBay before, but I've saved a few promotional items for Batman that I'm like, should I get that? Where could I display that? Could I find some some war room for that. In fact, talking of gaming, there's a flyer for I can't remember the name of the game now. I'm mental blanking on it, but it was a Nintendo, the original NES game called something. I think it was called like Curse of the Joker or something along those lines. And there's like a little promotional flyer of that, like pamphlet, and I was like, that would be really cool. Just have that on display, just framed somewhere. But I've got to find room on the wall for it.
It's just I have to laugh because just in front of me, I've got a framed placemat from McDonald's, which would have just been something that was a tray liner that was worth nothing, that people just threw away like it was nothing. But I've got it framed on my wall now. I paid more than I should have for it as well.
I've been looking at those for the Batman Happy Meals and back when they did those for Batman Returns and other movies. I've actually been looking at the glasses, the original glasses they brought out for the Batman Forever movie as well. So I've still got all those McDonald's glasses. They're great. But I've been looking at those. I've been looking at people who've collected the French fry containers as well.
Yeah, I've got them coming actually.
Have you?
They're on the way. Yeah.
Oh wow! I probably saw these things growing up when the movie was out. I'm sure I went to McDonald's and saw this stuff, and I've completely put it out of my mind. It's because you see so much of it. It's funny as collectors when we come across that sort of stuff. Yeah.
I'm big on I like vintage movie cups.
Yeah.
I'm trying to track down the old Greater Union cinema cups.
Yeah.
They're really hard to find. Well, the Jurassic Park ones are really hard to find. I think I've got 2 out of 3. So
wow. And for Americans that are listening, because there's a lot of Americans that listen to the podcast, Greater Union is a big franchise here that's kind of like an AMC almost over in the US.
Yeah. Which are now gone. Greater Union doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, correct. So it makes it even harder to get some of those items, I guess. But obviously being the age, I mean, and this is another thing, 93, that was when the original Jurassic Park came out. So we're actually coming up on 30 years since a lot of these promotional items were out there. So yeah, like finding them in great pristine condition, it's like hen's teeth. Yeah,
definitely.
Well, Dave, I've had a blast talking to you. Thank you very much for being on the podcast. Before I let you go, though, I always get people to plug their socials. Where can they find you and have a look at this fantastic collection we've been talking about?
So just on Instagram, I'm the East Doc, the_East_Doc. And I post everything I have up there nearly as soon as I get it.
Perfect. Well, yeah, for anyone interested, definitely go and give Dave a follow on his page. And I can't recommend it enough because I think it's a fantastic collection. So thank you again for being on the podcast, and I've had a great time talking to you. Have a great, wonderful night.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
If you liked the episode, please consider following or subscribing wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also join me on Instagram at Collecting Heroes, where you can see photos of the collections of the people that I'm talking to, as well as some of my own.